Hey, what's up, man? You know we always back with another fucking episode to help you young people out to navigate this thing called life. And you know what? This is very therapeutic for me. I feel like I'm talking to a young me. And hopefully when I die one day, I'll be born back on this planet when we still got internet and YouTube. And I might come across these videos and it might help me in the future. So part of this is like a little bit of a narcissistic experiment to see how I can help myself if I ever get the ability to go back in time or whatever. But just living life and shit. But anyway, today's episode, we're gonna talk about the isolation chamber. See, when I talk to a lot of young people, the big issue that they have is that they don't spend enough time by themselves. They're always looking for a group. They're always looking for some type of camaraderie, looking for a girl, looking for something that they could be a part of so they can have like some identity. Because the tough part about being a young guy is you don't really have your identity yet. Like you have an identity as a young guy where you're just fucking running around in your third, fourth, fifth grade. And then society beats you the fuck up. All these gay ass teachers, gay ass parents, and gay ass just internet and all this gay shit that gets into your life. And it basically takes away that natural masculinity, that natural animal that what you really are. And my goal is to kind of rekindle that flame of being a fucking young animal again. Because that's what you really are, man. You're a young ass fucking animal. You have to realize animals, especially young males, you got to go out there and roam. You got to be by yourself. You got to put yourself in a pressure cooker and be able to get yourself out of it. Like one of the greatest quotes I heard 50 Cent say was, he didn't have, like, I always had to face everything head on because I didn't have nowhere to go. We're going to go back home and still deal with the same problem. So everything that was always attacking me, I had to go face it head forward because there's nobody to go home to. I'm just going to be with myself again. And that's what you have to kind of get to in your life. You got to start putting yourself in that pressure cooker and seeing how you react in stressful situations. And that's one of the things that's been taken away from young men is the rite of passage. We got to get young guys out of the stage of boyhood into manhood. The only way to get into manhood is to be introduced into the stresses of reality. And see, a lot of you guys can hide from reality because you'll be with your gay friends or your little girlfriend. And it gives you a sense of identity, like I'm Mary's girlfriend or Mary's boyfriend, or I'm a part of this frat, or I'm this basketball player, or you want to be a part of some type of fraternity, but you need to be a part of your own fraternity, man. You need to be something that you're part of that you created, something that you are the domain master of. And so today's lesson is I'm going to give you guys three things to talk about the isolation chamber. One, the importance of isolation. Two, how to navigate isolation, which is my I got three principles, but I use read, write, and run. I wrote a book about this. I got to go put that book out one of these days. And how you must build a wall to be able to protect yourself and also welcome others. Because walls are very symbolic. Throughout history, walls have always been, but that's another topic. We're going to get to that a little bit later. So the first thing is the importance of isolation. See, isolation gives you the ability to think. And your greatest ability in this life is your ability to be able to think. See, thinking is what separates you from all the other animals. Because you have the ability to think within past the next minute, past the next hour. You have the ability to think in terms of your life. And that is both a scary proposition and a very it's very scary proposition because you always got this constant wonder what happens if I don't pass or if I don't make it. But it's also very rewarding because it means you control the destiny of which you're going to become. And one of the things I want people to stop saying is what they want to become and start thinking about who they want to become. Who you become is much more important than what you become. Like, I'm an electrician, and what I notice is a lot of people take pride in just being an electrician, but I'm apex sapien who happens to have the skill of electrician. I am not an electrician. I am me who happens to have the ability to do electricity, to be able to build it, and be able to fix and all other gay shit. So you need to start thinking in terms of who, because who has no limiting factor. Who I am an apex sapien, a top, shrewd, thinking, sensible creature. So I always aim to be able to think in the long term. What do my choices mean? And the longer the time frame for your choices, the more time you should actually sit down and reflect upon what you're doing. See, a big problem with a lot of young people is they just follow the latest trend instead of thinking of the long-term ramifications of whatever they're going to particularly do. And I always mention this, think in terms of 5 years. The choice I made today, how does it affect me in 5 years? So if I go to work today, how does that benefit me in 5 years? What experience did I gain that's going to be applicable to me in my future self? Because everything is a lag indicator. So what I'm doing now is going to be a greater of importance 10 years from now, 20 years from now, because there's going to be an exponential growth of the experiences I had. And this is why isolation is very important. And this is why a lot of guys, you should really probably wake up early and spend 20, 30 minutes just kind of sitting down thinking in your own thoughts. Just not reminiscing, but really plotting, really thinking. I spend a lot of time just sitting down thinking. Like I'll go to work, get my work done, and I go really heavy. But from like 9 to like 11 o'clock, I'll just sit down in my bed. I'll just think. Okay, what did I do today? Did I make an impact? What impactful moments did I have today that made somebody else's life better that's going to benefit me in a future relationship 10, 20, 30 years from now? And if I can look and say, did my choices benefit me 10, 20, 30 years from now? That means I had a good day. That means I did something worth the fuck. And as long as you know that you can look at what your choices were today and they benefit you as something that's going to be worth the fuck in the future, life is going to be good, man. That's all you got to worry about. So get used to being in the isolation chamber. A lot of guys say, well, man, I don't know how to get in the isolation chamber. Bro, how about this? You got a car, right? Get in your car, pack all your shit up, go to a new city, and live in your car. And I guarantee you, that'll be the perfect way to be isolated. Because the problem is a lot of you guys want to get hard and create and build, but you don't want to be scared. You don't want to be fearful. You don't want to face the challenges. You want to build in comfort. Nah, man, it don't work that way. You don't get to build in comfort. You got to put some pressure on yourself. And understand, when you're fucking in your 20s, man, or your early teens, or late teens, early 20s, even in your 30s, if you don't have kids, you haven't been in jail, you don't have a mortgage, you don't have a wife, you have the ability to fucking go out, crash out, and then restart and build. And it won't even be that hard. See, it's not like we lived back in the day where you didn't have like the internet or you have to travel by foot. It's like, bro, you got a car. There's jobs everywhere. There's literally any job. You can walk into any place and get a job for $15 an hour down there. And you can just live in your car and save up for 2 or 3 months. It's not going to kill you. What it's going to do is going to make your mind stronger because you're going to be so uncomfortable, so fucking irritated every fucking day that you're going to start operating like a madman. You're going to become very resourceful because you got nobody else to fall on. And see, this is one of the tragedies of living with your family or living at home too long is that you never build that edge. You never build that reliability upon yourself. And this is why I try to tell young guys, like, you should always be operating on how do I get to the ability to have more freedom. The more freedom you have, the more you can be in isolation. The more you can be in isolation, the more hardened that your mind becomes, the greater savage you become, the more sensible, shrewd, and forward thinking you become. You start to reach your apex sapient level. And that's what the whole message of the challenge is about, is to help you become a top level thinker. I don't care about the muscles. I don't care about the girls. I don't care about the money. It's about what you can think. Because the money can flip at a day, man. You could be fucking $100 in your account one day, and next day you meet somebody who changed your goddamn life, and now you have a windfall of money where now you got 20, 30, 40 racks in your fucking account. Because you were isolated. You knew you had to make shit happen. And when you know you have to make shit happen, there's nobody else to rely upon. You don't have a roommate. Everything relies on you. You're much more sensible to how you play your game of chess. Like, think about trying to play a chess game where you have two guys playing at the same time on the same board. You got to negotiate who gets to make what move, who does this. There's a bunch of negotiation you have to do. You don't have the pure isolation because you're talking and negotiating with somebody else. I want to get you out that stage and negotiating and talking to somebody else. I want you to be able to purely think on your own. How am I going to do this? How am I going to get this situation? I can't count on this motherfucker. I'm on my own. And once you start to operate in that space, you'll never want to go back to a roommate situation. You never want to go back to living at home. You'll have this crave of having freedom. Like, I remember every time I left off and left by myself and lived in my own place, as soon as if I fucked up and I had to come back home instantly, I'm looking at a time frame. How soon can I get back to being off on my own? I don't want to have to worry about anybody. I want to be only have to operate on me. And that comes to my second point is what to do when you're in isolation. A lot of guys ask me, well, I need some advice, man. Should I get into the trade? Should I go into sales? Should I do online? Blah, blah, blah. I was like, bro, look, the first thing you need to do is you need to start reading, you need to start writing, and you need to start running. Now, I don't know what it is about these three, but something about these three, when you mix them together, the answers come to you. Like I remember during the pandemic, when I was jobless, just chilling at the crib, nothing to do, I was like, what the fuck am I going to do in my life? And the first thing I started doing is, all right, well, let me get some books. And so I would start reading, okay, an hour a day, or like not even an hour a day, but I'm going to read 25 pages a day. And that 25 eventually got up where I was getting to the point where I was reading like half a book or a book damn near every 2 or 3 days. I'm going to write 500 words within 30 minutes. Every day, wake up, 500 words. And eventually that 500 words turned to 1,000. I would do 500 in the morning, 500 at night before I go to bed. And then I started running. And I would bring a journal with me when I would run so I can write as I would have thoughts. And luckily, I still got those journals. I love reading, going back and rereading those journals because so much fucking value that I got from them. And when I combined those three, and I did that for about 2 months straight, where I would just have this routine, wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, go out and go run, write, then read, and do it over again every single day, I noticed a drastic change in myself. Because something about taking in an input of words from somebody who's more wise, who took the time to actually write a book, then writing and forging your own words through your own hands and emptying out your brain of all that content, and then running, which is churning the chemistry within your brain. It's like mixing everything inside because you start to heat your body up, you're moving. And I started to become a different person. I became a different human. I became more sapient-like, where I became more witty, funnier, more wiser, better shape, and I felt good about myself because every day I was doing something productive. Even though I wasn't making money, I was still conducting positive inputs that helped me become a better human being. And that's why I feel like I'm in the point I am today. Because of that those three things, reading, writing, and running. And so I tell all young people, man, when you're starting out in the game, trying to figure out what you want to do with your life, if you got free time, man, read, write, and run. Do those three every day, and I promise you, whatever answers you're looking for in life, they're going to come to you at some point. I can't explain it. Maybe it's magic. Maybe it's something that's intertwined with us, like the ability to read, write, and run is like something that's like primal within human beings. But for the most part, the answers are going to come to you through doing that particular activity. So get out there, get reading, get writing, get running, and really change your body chemistry. Change what's coming into your brain. Change what's coming out of your brain. And then churn that information doing the running to create like a new primal soup of just insight that you're going to gain. And the last thing I want you guys to understand is, and it's from this book I've been reading, The Wall Speaks by some guy named Jer. But you need to build a wall. And that wall serves two purposes. Throughout mankind and history, walls have been of very importance for human beings. Because walls indicate two things. That we have valuable things within that we need to protect. And this is a beacon for other wandering souls who need places of refuge. And so you need to start building a wall around you. And by building that wall around you, I mean like you need to start to build yourself and build an exterior through like your physical training, through your writing, through what you can do. You need to start to build walls so you can pretty much shield the value that's within you and have people be able to see like, oh shit, like if you look at the Great Wall of China, your first thought is like, damn, I wonder what's in there. It makes people curious about you. And this is one of the things it talks about with the frame when it comes to women. Women don't fall in love with actually you. Women are falling in love with your frame because it gives them some type of structure that they look at so their emotional horseshit doesn't affect the person behind the wall. They're trying to understand who's behind the wall. But no, you need to keep that wall there for their own good and for your own good. Because it's better. It's just better that way. And this is one of those deep relationship things. I'm going to go into that more maybe the next episode. Explain how to have a dynamic with women and understanding what women are and how they relate to us, and that they're not these magical creatures that you motherfuckers been sold to by Disney and that your mama told you. No, it's a lot more primal, and you need to be able to identify these things. And the only way to understand women is to understand yourself. Once you begin to understand yourself and how to apply your time and energy, you will understand how a woman will fit in your life better. But until then, you're building a risky game of fucking baby mama shit coming your way, or just getting your car keyed and all the types of shit. So learn that building that wall is so valuable because it protects you from just the bullshit of the world. And a lot of people say, "Oh, well, you're just over masculine. That's toxic masculinity." Nigga, fuck you. Toxic masculinity is good. That's why I carry a sword. And so anyway, like, just understand that your life, you need to be isolated. You gotta be alone most of the time. Being alone is a very good thing. Being alone is the best thing that you can do. And this is why I don't recommend having kids young, because you don't have enough time to understand yourself. Like, you have to be the pillar. You gotta be the rock. And the only way to become the rock is to is to know what the rock is cooking. And the only way you can know what the rock is cooking is if you're by yourself. If not, you got a bunch of other people in your pot cooking shit. If you got a bunch of other people in your pot cooking shit, then what the fuck you doing out here? You're not doing shit on your own. So get out there, young people. Grind, rewrite, and run. Understand the importance of isolation and embrace it, because you come in this world alone, you die alone. There ain't no fucking somebody coming to save you. You gotta figure this shit out yourself. And the more you work, the more you think, the harder you go, the greater the pace you put on reality, the better things work out for you, because eventually you're going to soften reality up to the point where you can get a knockout blow and make a real power move. But it takes that isolation, takes that time to think. Like, one of the greatest things in fighting is that you understand is when you're in that ring, you're not the opponent is important, but you're fighting yourself. You're fighting your instinctual urges to give into anger, to give into your temper, to give into your emotions, to give into your cowardice. But you have to understand how to separate your actions from your emotions and become a soldier, become a robot, become a fucking android. Just be about the mission. Don't care about the way you're feeling. What you feel is not real. That's the devil talking. All that matters is carrying out the objective. If you carry out the objective, then you did your fucking job. So anyway, check out the Twitter, check out the Instagram, TikTok. We're going live. And yeah, spread the message, young people. I'm trying to help, motherfuckers. And also reach out. Please reach out. I've been enjoying. I had about 5 or 6 phone calls in the last week and a half of young dudes. Listen, I'm very accessible. So this is your chance to get to me while you get a chance before I start charging, because I'm going to have too many fucking young people calling me up and shit. Because I know how you young people guys do. You guys want somebody to be the next Tate. Listen, I ain't Tate. Fucking Apex Savior, nigga. I ain't no top G. I'm top thinker.